Wallball fans worldwide, we're here with New York City legend Raul Fantauzzi. He has been number one player in the past in New York City history, but his impact on the courts and off the courts is really what's made him so legendary in helping kids who are from struggling backgrounds, to mentor them, coach them, and in some instances help them get him out of some dangerous situations. So you were talking about some of your student and Dan Petrie's father.
Dan Petrie's father, Eli Petrie.
Eli Petrie.
A very nice gentleman, a good friend of mine. He's family to me now. And Eli used to come with us and play. And he was there with us every day. And he was left-handed. And he had some incredible trick shots, like something like this behind his back.
Behind the back, no look.
No look, exactly. And he was just great. You know, he just didn't play in a lot of tournaments. Sometimes it was due to his father being strict or his mom's or whatever. But he was always with me. And then when he had his son, I saw him from baby. And now
Dan, we're talking about Dan here.
Dan Petrie. And his son is now, I believe he's a top 10 player.
He's an A player. He's out here doing his thing. And he's, a nice guy,
A very nice gentleman.
I think that's also always a little bit underspoken in this thing, because like we're talking about, it's the camaraderie that you have. When you go to war with somebody in the court, you build a different kind of bond with them. You do, or at the very least, a respect for them. It's a different kind of level, And I want to talk more about that, about some of the kids. So how many kids do you think that you coached again?
Approximately 1,000 children in 30 years.
About 1,000 children, and this is involved with the New York City's...
Yes, PSAL, New York City.
PSA, SAO, and then
Education.
How many of those went on to be champions, more or less?
Quite a few.
Yeah?
Quite a few, yes.
Over a dozen?
More than a dozen.
More than a dozen.
There's, to be a champion, you have to put a lot of time into it. But when you're in school and, handball becomes some kind of priority, you start cutting class or not coming to school and being in the handball court. Now, there's one particular instance, and, I'm not going to mention any names, but this young man wasn't coming to school. And I knew his older brother because his older brother had been in it. He used to play with me, but his older brother was in and out of jail a few times. I won't mention names, but this young man had a lot of skill, a lot of potential, and I was on his back. You have to come to class so that you can participate on my team. You got to pass 4 major subjects plus gym. If you can't do that, you can't be on my team. But come on, he would say, come on, man, but you could do this, you could do that. You're the coach. Everybody knows you. I said, it's not about that. It's about you getting your education. Okay. He was cutting, and he was winding up in one of the parks that I play in. Let's say 49 Park. And I decided to go to his house on my own. Board of Education ain't going for that, but I decided to do that. I had a badge. I could walk almost anywhere. Knock on the door. His brother answers the phone. Hey, what's up? He gives me a hug. We talk. We were discussing. Can I come in and speak to? Is your mother home? He goes, yeah, come in. My mother would love to meet you. We always talk about you. So I came inside, and his mother was sitting there. I said, could you please sit down, miss? And I said, how would you like your son to wind up like him in jail? He doesn't have a chance. He won't have a chance. I said, if you don't let me help you so that your kid cannot come, could come to school. Because if he's on my team, I'm going to take care of him.
Sure.
She started crying. We had a big chat. The boy wasn't there. The boy was out somewhere playing handball. The next day, I was given permission. The next day, I started being bad. When he was cutting class, I'd send bullies to pick him up. By the face, by the head.
Yeah. Bring your ass into school.
Right now, he's a doctor.
Wow.
I know, because when I call him, I get free medical advice. And every kid that I've ever had some kind of a thing with them, impact in a positive way, helped them to get to college, because I used to help them get into LaGuardia. Any kid, I would get a copy of their diploma, a copy now, and have them autograph it to me. So I got a whole drawer full of that.
Wow. Let's just talk about that for a second, because to me that's super impactful. because you made an impression on this young man's life. You helped him at a crossroad where right or left could have been life or death.
Yes.
And now he's impacting many other people
Yes.
in his practice and possibly saving lives, we hope, as a doctor.
Yes.
So, boy, that's a major testament to your dedication to these kids.
That is one child.
Hmm. And you're talking about over 1,000.
Over 1,000 kids in 30 years
Yes.
that used to come and wanted. They found out that I took care of them.
Uh-huh.
In other words, I made sure they ate lunch.
Yeah.
I made sure no violence in the school was upon them. I had a pass from the police department, and on Tuesdays and sometimes Thursdays I take them and their girlfriends to the movies to see the latest movies for free, right? And there were so many kids that I helped get into the Guardia College. There were so many kids that I now have businesses, now have their there was one kid who was an executive for Nike. I was his track coach because I also coach track and field, you know. And there's some guys that are cops out there who hated the police and now they're cops, or they're school safety.
We got some cops playing here today.
Yes, I know who they are.
Yeah.
And you know,
The thing that's amazing to me, so again, people who are out here watching in Wallball world, handball is more than just a Wallball, what we call it. This could change people's lives. It could change people's lives. It's how far you want to take it and how deep you want to go. I mean, some people just want to get on the court and leave, but you can have impressions on people's lives, and like this man has made, that are impactful, and I hate this for the lack of sounding corny, can help change the world. All these people are helping change the world, and we hope for a better place. So that's tremendous. So let's switch gears a little bit, though. 'Cause I
Okay.
want to talk about the tournament you had where you honored all the legends.
okay.
Can you tell me quickly a little bit about that?
All right. When I started playing this game, I was 28 years old. My brother was younger than me, and he taught me the game because some girl wanted to meet me, and she was always with these guys, and I didn't want no part of her.
Yeah.
But she was beautiful, and the weakness, and then all of a sudden I get on the handball court with her, and I didn't have a left. I had no idea the rules, nothing. I would hit that ball so hard. So we won.
things we do for women.
Yeah. So we won 5 games. And then the competitiveness in my heart, because everything I ever did, I tried to. Everything I ever did in my life, I've always done it to the best of my ability.
So, yeah.
My father said, "You go out there, you be a man, you work, take care of your family. Whatever you do, you be the best. You work in a factory, you clean the parks, you wash cars, whatever it is, do it your best, and things will work out for you."
Yeah.
So I became competitive where that same year I entered my first handball tournament ever in Lindsay Park. And somehow I wound up making it to the last 4 with no left, no idea how to keep the rules. No, I don't even know how to keep score, but I would hit it so hard because I didn't know anything else.
Yeah.
I wound up coming in 3rd. They gave me a trophy like half my size. I was taking it home. Everybody thought it was 1st place. Once I got that way into handball, it started to become like a part of my life. I started becoming obsessed. I don't know if it was the way my hand hits the ball. I don't know if it was the way the people react when you hit the ball a certain way, or just the people.
It's that pop. I think a lot of people who are watching this, and leave a comment down below, can relate to that feeling.
Yeah,
That handball is such, it's almost like a drug. It's addictive,
It's an obsession.
Yeah.
Because I was, for a few years, I've been working on this book. It's called The Psychology of Handball. And I have not been able to pass my brother's chapter because my brother passed away.
Brother, I feel you. Listen, my brother, hold on, so get a moment to gather yourself. My brother passed away. My brother is the one who taught me the game of handball, and my brother went right to this school right here, Edison High School in Queens. That's where my brother went to school, and this is my first time here.
Yeah, it is.
It's my first. I'm from the Bronx. I never came out here.
This is far.
This is far from the Bronx.
Even for me,
we lived in Flushing for a minute too. He lived with my dad. I lived in the Bronx with my mom. So I feel you, and it's a generational thing too. Like my brother's the one who gave it to me, and the one who introduced me to my first handball friends on Castle Hill where I played, and introduced me to a friend that I'm still friends with nowadays. My man, Crazy Legs, Rocksteady Crew, Zulu Peace. We're still friends to this day, and I play handball with him, Richie, in Castle Hill. So I feel you, with your brother. And
Yeah, I miss my brother so much. I know if he's watching,
yeah, and we have
I
some
have to
brothers-
mention him.
And we have some, mention, man. Let's
No.
give him his name.
My brother's name was Rocky, or Jose Fantuzzi. I was his track coach. He was my handball coach. But
So at the award ceremony that you had, did you
oh.
honor him as well?
I always honor my
Yeah.
brother, always, for the
Okay.
rest of my life.
Who tell me some of the guys that you honored at the.
I-
You want to shout them out too.
Okay.
See, the thing is, in handball, there's generations, and people tend to forget about the older players. You know what I mean? But they are the stepping stones that we are walking on now. So we need to pay these brothers some respect. And back in the 80s and 90s, these guys were lighting it up. So let's give some props to some of the guys that
Okay.
you honored.
In my time, by the third year of me playing handball, I became the #1 player on the top 10 pro pyramid. Dave Andre was a coordinator.
Pyramid. So if
Yes,
you
the
hit
pyramid, West 4th Street. There was no such thing as B or C divisions. It was just open A divisions.
Yeah.
If you couldn't play with the Spalding, you better not go to West 4th. And the best from everywhere would show up. Even from other countries that would show up to play there. I somehow managed to become the #1 player in 1985, right? On that pyramid, I stood for a few years, up and down, between 1 and 10 and back. And then Big Blue took over. That was 1987. And when Big Blue took over, I had to take a year off to learn the Big Blue, which was so difficult for me because I couldn't do the tricks.
Yeah, Spalding is different.
It was about 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So after I learned that, I started noticing that the older guys that played with me that were there 20 years before me, who I looked up to, were slowly being pushed to the side and being forgotten because they couldn't do those tricks that they could do with the Big Blue as they could with the Spalding. So I decided to make it a mission in my life that as long as I'm alive, not one of those guys will ever be forgotten. I've had between 60 and 70 tournaments in 30 years. I had a club called First Serve. And whenever, like the last few years, I started to dedicate to people like, Buddy Gant, who was considered the master of the wall. Even Angel Marquez, who was from the Bronx and who was an incredible businessman on the court.
Shout out to Angel, man. That's my man too.
Reggie Langston, who had an incredible game with both hands. Jose Davila, who you see him around the handball courts taking pictures, lying on the court. He was a #4 player in this country at that time.
How about my brother Pedro, the handball kid?
The handball kid is a legend altogether in himself because the handball kid was probably as good as Angel Marquez. And his awkward style and his serves were so hard to pick up.
Yes.
And his hair was never out of place. This guy was great. Right?
Shout out to Pedro. Love you, bro.
But the greatest person that I've ever seen in handball, not to take away from any one of these guys, when I moved to Bushwick and I thought that I could play handball, I walked into the handball court and I saw this guy with long pants, long sleeve shirts, buttoned up like he came out of church, and his hair like James Dean, playing these two guys with shorts and sneakers and tank tops, 2 against 1 for $10 a man. I had never ever seen anything like that. He had not one drop of sweat on his head. So after the game was over, I walked to him and I went to shake his hand and I said, how you doing? I was baffled. I said, my name is Raul, man. You want to play a game? He goes, I don't play scrubs. So now in me,
No scrubs.
in here,
Oh.
in here, in my heart, I must have turned into a monster because I felt this hatred and anger. I felt dizzy. I went home. Next day, it was drizzling a little bit. And when it was drizzling, he was playing some guy named Julio, and there was a lot of crowd in the park because Carlos was like the man. And he killed Julio. So before he could tell me he wouldn't play me, I jumped aside, I got next. So I took the ball, and because I knew no better, I was hitting it 100 miles an hour with everything I got, and it kept skipping because the floor was a little damp, moist. So what happens? I won the game 21-20. The next day, I went back. It was sunny. He was in the park practicing alone again. And he goes, I said, you want to play a game? He goes, I don't play scrubs. I said, but you the scrubs. I beat you yesterday.
Yeah.
He goes, let's go. So he played me 10 games a day. He killed me 10 games. I would average 3 points.
Wow.
No matter what I did. And I was at the time running a 4.340. You know, and I was on the track team running 100 meters.
You had that cardio working.
He tortured me. I was his personal caddy. I loved to hate this guy. I loved it. I used to go home. I didn't want to talk to my wife. Don't look at me. Don't talk to me.
Ashamed.
And she already knew. She goes, Carlos again. And I go, yeah, Carlos. So then one day I won another game. And I said, yo, man, why you let me beat you? He goes, before I knew you was already had too many points. So confidence, right? At times I would win 2 or 3 out of 10, and one day he says to me, let me take you to West 4th. I said, what's that? I went to West 4th. We walk in.
The cage.
Everybody is looking at him and hugging him and kissing him. And I'm like, oh. I said, who the hell are you? He goes, I used to be the man. And I said, what's that? I didn't know handball was like that. So he took me to the wall, and there was the pyramid, Carlos Lorenzo, #1. And I'm like, what's that? And I couldn't believe that there was
like a ranking almost.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that.
Yeah.
So Jose Davila comes up to Carlos and says, you want to play for $10? That's the guy on the floor that was #4. Carlos goes, he looks at him like that, with that smirk that he had, like a ventriloquist dummy. He goes, if you beat Raul, I'll play you for 10. That was my first win. I beat Jose Davila 31-30. He's over there somewhere. You can ask
Call him
him.
out. Tag him.
Ask him. Jose Davila, one of the greatest handball players I've ever seen. The most greatest opposite.
So in saying that, where would you put him as in terms of who do you, in your opinion, is the greatest player you ever saw play?
Buddy Gant.
Buddy.
The
Without
master of the
hesitation.
wall. Yes, Buddy Gant. In Ruben's time, I wasn't there, but I did get to meet Ruben, because there were times that somebody would say, oh, you remind me of Ruben, because I used to run around. But even Ruben himself, when I met him in the 80s, when I was on top of that pyramid, he was very kind to me. I asked him for a poster and his autograph and stuff. He was sponsored by Echelon, and we're still friends. And he's one of the guys that I invited to the old timers thing. It's not really called the old timers. What I did was I had a tournament for the youth and the people in the park, and I invited the old guys. Right? No, I invited them. I gave out 14 plaques, 10 medals. There was 50 shirts, and 3 beautiful trophies, and food and drink. I did it, and I'm living with.
If you guys haven't seen that, go check it out. I mean, I don't know whose feed it is. But it's a couple different.
Raul 49 Park.
Oh, on your feed?
Yes, go
okay,
Raul
so
49 Park.
I know some other people had it too. I think David Velez had it as well.
Yeah.
Some other people, Henry was out there too. I think he got a couple clips too. So whoever you're friends with, try to find some of these
I
clips.
have a lot of stuff on my face page, which is the same as my name, Raul Fantauzzi. I actually even have some old Spalding games. Me playing Buddy when I managed to get past Buddy. Or Louis Vasquez, or Dave Melendez, who I'm sure you know. Or Al Rivera. Oh my God, I have a lot of those guys. Even Carlos Lorenzo, all of them, a little clip here and there playing Spalding. Now, I was talking about my book. It's called The Psychology of Handball. I don't know how or when I'm going to continue, because I'm going through a little bit of things at home. But my book has to do with what people have given up, lost, because of their obsession with this game. Because of their obsession with handball, giving up cutting class, getting out of work early, or not even work.
Relationships.
Definitely relationships. A lot of my friends would break up with their girlfriends because their girlfriends were not supportive of them coming out to play the sports.
I've been there. That's why I married my wife. She plays ball.
I married my wife, and my wife supported me. She used to say, get up. It's a sunny day. You got a tournament coming. Go practice. So everything that I've ever won.
That's what's up.
Dave, everything that I've ever won, I've dedicated to my wife. But also my brother. I've written stories for the USHA, thanks to Mr. Dan Flickstein, a former national champion, who also was a Brooklyn college professor who taught literature. And he wrote for like 50 years for the USHA magazine, and he would take my paperwork and inspire me to keep writing, and he would correct it and send it to them. And I wrote about a lot of people because, handball is not about me. Handball is about all of us together in a community that we're involved for a common cause. Handball, for me personally, has kept me away from certain things that drugs, drinking, because I was always that old, pure athlete. In order to me to be that number one player at that time, I was running 5 miles a day. I was in the gym, swimming 50-something laps. I was taking 7 different vitamins.
You have to dedicate yourself to this.
I would practice. I made myself left-handed. I was right-handed. Remember I said I had no left?
Oh, yeah.
I became...
And it's possible, like Cisco.
Right.
Cisco, the left of death.
Cisco from the Bronx.
From the Aponte.
Monster from the Bronx.
The left of death. You don't want to face that.
That's one of the
But
greatest.
he trained himself to have a left.
And it's fantastic.
Like you said, like if you dedication and hard work pays off, kids. That's what it's all about.
Yes.
All right. And if you want to get out of this situation, that's the things you got to do. And education is always the answer.
Handball. One more thing I would like to say is that handball, it's a poor man's sport. It doesn't have any sponsorship at the time, at the moment. But there are people that are interested in maybe sponsoring some of these kids or these youth.
Yeah.
Now, the only way that's going to happen is you out there, whoever's watching this, whoever's interested in this, you must have respect. You must have respect for yourself. You must have respect for the game. You must have respect for these refs. Some of them don't even get paid, the linesmen. You can't act out because you don't know who's watching.
Respect mom and dad first.
That's mom and dad, and thank God for whatever blessings
that you have. Be thankful for what you have. I always tell my kid that. Be thankful for what you have, even if it's not a lot, Because we grew up in the hood with not a lot, and you can make something out of yourself.
Now, this is very important because, like I said, in order for this game to go anywhere, if there's a possibility of an Olympic view sometime in the future, they're going to come out and they're going to look around. First thing they're going to look at is how can they make money out of this? Then they're going to look at who can well represent their logo, their clothes, or even in another country or a world championship, who can represent them? Because they don't want you to be taking drugs, getting high, drinking, smoke. Because if I had that kind of money, I'm not picking you if you do that stuff.
You don't want to waste your money on something
no,
like that.
No.
Yeah.
I myself would not sponsor someone who does things, and I would try to inspire them to come away from there so that they can be the best they can be.
Yeah.
All right. Now my kids, like I said, it was $125 budget for the year, and if the kids won the division, which my kids always won, thank God, or if they even went to Brooklyn or City Champs, regardless, we would have an awards dinner. Sometimes we were not even invited, but I was a bad force that I wasn't tolerating that kind of stuff. So I had every single parent involved, every parent. Parents are powerful, all right? So by the end of the year, around June something, we will have an awards dinner. I myself would save $5 every payday, and I would buy each of my 10 kids a trophy half their size with their names, their nicknames on it. And I wanted them at the sports dinner to come in with business suits. You have to see the raggedy clothes other people, others, they want jeans and dirty sneakers. I said, if you come in there and your shoes ain't shiny, your tie ain't right, you don't got a clip, you're not getting your trophy. My kids, when they would walk in, it would be a huge presence. Everybody would be like, oh my God.
Show them how to be respectful of themselves, respectful of the event, you as an elder. I mean, I think that's great, man. I think that's great.
I love the game, and I don't know how long I'm going to. I'm nursing a couple of injuries now. Unfortunately, I had an accident. I don't really want to bring that up, but with God's help, if I can run a little bit, I'll be playing again. And if I cannot run, then I'll have to accept the fact that I did make the Hall of Fame. And there's only 3 people that made the Hall of Fame for Spalding. Buddy Gant, Angel Marquez, and me.
That's what's up. Hey, Raul.
It's been the honor for me to
Thank
be here
you so
with
much.
you.
No, the honor is all ours in watching. Okay, all
Thank
ours
you.
and watching. Thank you for taking some time with me today to do this. We're here at a major event. But more importantly, thank you for your contribution to the game of handball.
As long as I live.
He will live forever through these other people. And that's why we're here today to cover him. Thank you so much, Wallball fans out there, for watching us. Check out Raul. Go follow him on Facebook. Look him up on YouTube. Shout that out again. You said
Raul 49 Park.
Raul 49
Or
Park.
on Facebook, Raul Fantauzzi. And you'll see some old videos. You'll see some, I collect toys too, so you'll see some old, very collectible toys. Or music. I'm into music.
That's what's up. All right. Go follow him and support this man. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned to Wallball Worldwide. Peace, y'all.
Thank you.